Welcome to the Complete Story Series for Manga Storian, where we condense down your favorite manga stories and classics for you to enjoy. We are intentionally doing these stories before watching the anime so that we can bring you the story in a way that it was meant to be read. This can cause names to be read differently and the stories to have slight variations. To fully understand what happened to your favorite stories, we highly recommend purchasing them yourselves. When we left off with our last video, the students had just received their costumes and they had begun to prepare for battle training. They gathered in the same field where they were tested for their entrance exams, and then All Might told them that they would be battle training for indoor battles. Not only that, they would be placed on the teams of two, and the groups would then be split into heroes versus villains. The objective would be that the two heroes will make their way into a building and stop the villains from setting off a nuclear bomb by either tagging the bomb or capturing the villains. The villains will either have to capture the heroes or hold the heroes up until the bomb detonates. To make things fair, All Might will draw lots to see who will be paired with who. And as he begins, Izuku, our hero, is paired with Ochako, and Katsuki is paired with Tenya. Ochako tells Izuku that this is fate, but Izuku still struggles trying to even say more than 2 words to her. All Might then begins to draw which teams will be the heroes and the villains. And for the heroes, he draws Izuku's team, and for the villains, he draws Katsuki's team. As Katsuki and Tenya go into the building to prepare, Katsuki sees this as his chance to finally take down Izuku. As time starts, Izuku and Ochako begin to sneak into the building, but Izuku is worried how he still can't properly regulate his quirk one for all. They begin to walk down the hallways and he tries to figure out the best way to handle the situation when Katsuki jumps out for an attack. During the attack, Izuku realizes that Katsuki is only aiming for him, so when Katsuki goes in for another swing, Izuku grabs him by the arm and slams him down. As Katsuki begins to get back up, Izuku tells him that he won't be his punching bag forever. He will be the one who will always do his best. But this only infuriates Katsuki even more. Izuku and Katsuki begin to ready themselves and Katsuki jumps in for another attack. Izuku then tells Ochako to go on ahead, try to disarm the bomb without him. And while Katsuki begins to get close, Izuku takes out the capture take, which should be enough to stop him. But Katsuki manages to break free of the tape and then he attacks Izuku again, pushing him back. And Izuku thinks to himself that he needs to come up with a better plan. So he runs away. Upstairs, Ochako spots Tenya standing guard at the bomb and begins to hear him mumble. Even though being a villain will bring shame on his family, he must commit! He will become the ultimate evil! Which then sends Ochako into a fit of laughter, long enough for Tenya to notice her. Tenya figured that the other two would be busy, so he came up with a counter strategy for Ochako's quirk, which allows her to manipulate gravity by clearing out the entire room. There's nothing for her to lift off the ground and move. So he tells her that her tricks won't work. She has miscalculated, you hero! But Ochako can only cringe and think to herself, wow, he's really getting into it. Back down below, Izuku continues to try and figure out a plan to get past Katsuki, when Ochako radios him telling him that she's been spotted. But before he can even react, Katsuki spots him again. Katsuki tells Izuku that his palm secretes something like nitroglycerin, and the gauntlet he wears stores it up, building up for an ultimate attack. All Might radios to him telling him not to use his ultimate attack, but Katsuki tells him as long as it's not a direct hit, it shouldn't kill him. Then he pulls the pin. Suddenly, Katsuki releases a massive explosion, knocking back Izuku and destroying part of the building. Katsuki continues to taunt him, telling Izuku to use his quirk. He wants to crush Izuku at his strongest. Back upstairs, with the building now partially destroyed, Ochako sees this as her chance to secure the weapon. She begins to run towards Tenya and lifts herself up over him by shifting her gravity. But before grabbing the weapon, Tenya uses his quirk of speed to run in and take the weapon away, causing her to fall and tumble into a wall. Tenya then tells her that she is no threat to him as long as she can't touch anything. Downstairs, Katsuki prepares himself for another attack as Izuku tries to get back up. Katsuki launches himself towards Izuku and Izuku braces himself for the attack, but at the last minute, Katsuki shoots another burst, pushing himself up and over Izuku, and then he launches another one from behind him. Just as Izuku yells out in pain, Katsuki swings again at his side and grabs him and slams him onto the ground. Katsuki then tells him to stand back up, but Izuku tries to get away. Katsuki tells him that he knows he's holding back. He knows Izuku is just looking down on him. And that's when Izuku tells him it's because he's so awesome that he wants to beat him. So the two of them take their stand and they swing at each other. As the other students watch from a room, they tell All Might that this could go bad. But before All Might goes in to stop them, Izuku tells Ochako, now. She grabs the pillar upstairs, and as Izuku and Katsuki collide, Izuku swings up, knocking a hole through the floor. Upstairs, Ochako grabs the pillar, and with it being free now, she shifts the gravity, grabbing it, and then using her Comet Home Run, she knocks all of the debris at Tenya. He begins to guard himself, and while he's doing that, Ochako jumps over him, securing the weapon, just as Izuku begins to fall to the ground. Katsuki hears the speaker stating that the heroes have won, and he has lost again. At the end of their fight, Izuku is taken to the nurse's office, and the rest of the students continue with their training. Once everyone is done, All Might congratulates everyone that there were no serious injuries aside from Izuku hurting himself like he seems to do with his quirk. Great teamwork! All Might then tells the class that he's gonna go check on Izuku, so everyone can go ahead and change out of their costumes and head back to class. But mainly, he just needs to go because he can hardly hold his All Might form anymore. None of the students know about his problem in which he can't hold this form. Over at the nurse's office, Recovery Girl tells All Might that he should have stepped in. This is Izuku's third time here this year already. She goes on to tell All Might that she knows that he gave Izuku his power, but he needs to keep a better eye on him. All Might tells her to keep it down. All of the teachers know of All Might's true form and the injury that he received, forcing him to stay in his true form, but only Recovery Girl and the principal, an old friend of All Might's, and Izuku know about All Might's quirk. Without All Might, the superhuman society would fall to evil, but Recovery Girl tells him that if it's so important to keep that secret, he needs to learn how to guide Izuku properly. Later, after school, Izuku wakes up and he heads home, but he is stopped by all of the students telling him how cool he looked in that fight, and everyone begins to introduce themselves. But through the crowd, Ochako comes and asks him how his arm is, and he tells her that he's just worn out, so he has to head home. Outside, Izuku sees and calls out Katsuki. He tries to tell him about his quirk, how he got it from someone else, but Katsuki sees this as Izuku trying to make a fool of him again. But no more! From here on in, Katsuki will beat everyone! Then when he goes to turn and walk away, All Might runs in, telling him that he has what it takes to be a pro hero. He just needs to, but Katsuki stops him and tells All Might to get off, it doesn't matter. He will be the one to even surpass All Might. He begins to walk away again, and Izuku thinks to himself how his goals have not changed from before. He will keep chasing him, but a few days later, Izuku will learn the most important lesson All Might warned them about how they should fear the cleverest of villains. And that will be our next story. I hope you guys are enjoying this, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter @MangaStorian, and we'll see you next time right here.